Matthew Lee, Intercity Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks for doing this briefing. I wanted to ask, I'm sure, I would assume that you guys have seen Oxfam put out, in connection or in the run-up to tomorrow's conference, a review of previous compliance with pledges. And they looked at three, and they said that it's been pretty dismal. They looked at Lebanon, Haiti, and Gaza. None of them went more than 55% of the amount announced actually was contributed. So I wanted to know, in light of this, in Gaza it's 27.5%, what steps do you think will be in place from the UN side to make sure that whatever numbers are announced tomorrow actually become real at a higher rate than has been true in the past? And on the WHO review panel, I wanted to, Dr. Nabarro, since you've been in this field for some time, what do you think of the proposal of creating this new division in WHO of the Center for Health Emergency Preparedness and Response? Do you think how quickly could it be done? Does it require the board approval, and what new would be accomplished by it? Thanks.
Sunil, if you want to talk about the figures, and then David.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I have seen at least the media reports about the Oxfam statement. I think this is always a concern to any of us who are involved in this kind of activity. Naturally, we're all very serious when we go in support of the countries to make sure that, in fact, the support that is pledged is also that the support that is pledged is acted upon and materializes. That is also very much a concern of the countries, I can assure you that. And in our discussions with the three governments, they have voiced that concern. We have encouraged them to take those concerns to the donors and express them clearly to the donors. And this is what we hope will also come, well, it is not, again, it's not for us to say, but we have encouraged them to use the opportunity of this conference to explore with the donors follow-up to the conference. Donors themselves are also interested in following up to ensure that, in fact, the resources that they pledged are being put to good use in the countries. So I think there is a meeting point of the two sides, if you will, on this, and we've encouraged them to have a dialogue on this. It is not specifically within the scope of this conference to decide on mechanisms for follow-up, but I think it would certainly be a natural consequence of the conference that some sort of forum, as Dr. Nabarro was saying, the Secretary General will be encouraging a continuing partnership following the conference, so that this conference is not just the end point of a process. Indeed, it's a start of a process. So certainly we would welcome any continued discussion between the two sides on this issue.
Thank you.
So Matthew, thank you for your question. As you say, in the stocking report, there is a proposal for a centre for responses to health emergencies to be created within the World Health Organization. And quite a lot of detail is in there about what that centre would do, what kind of leadership it needs, how it would be governed, and so on. It's interesting that many of the elements of that proposed centre are actually also envisaged in the speech that Margaret Chan gave around the 18th of May at the start of the World Health Assembly. She identified 5 elements of what she would expect the WHO to be able to do in its new approach on emergencies. A clear, singular management system that meant that there was one chain of command throughout the organization, a health emergency workforce that could be called upon and deployed whenever needed at speed, a financing mechanism so that there wouldn't have to be a lot of hunting for cash in response to an emergency, a logistical system that would support it with transportation and warehousing, probably drawing on another part of the UN, and then benchmarks against which the performance could be assessed as a part of an accountability system. I think what is a bit stronger in the stocking report is the sense of urgency and the sense of no alternative that's in there. It's basically saying this has to be done for the good of the world. And I know that Margaret Chan's reaction is to say, I'm going to do it. She will, I'm sure, be discussing it here in New York when she is in the conference this afternoon and tomorrow, sharing her views with others here. And she is determined to achieve the result. I do encourage those of you who want to follow up on this to directly have contact with Dr. Chan or her spokespeople, who I think are also here.